Hello! Today we're going to talk about the imperative. That is how to give commands. First of all, what is the imperative? Every time we give commands, that is called the imperative form. In English, we have only one verb form. If you see the following examples, the mom says to her daughter Anna, "Do your homework." That is singular, informal. The mom says to her daughters Anna and Lisa, "Do your homework." That is plural and informal. If the mom says to the teacher, "Don't give so much homework," that's a formal setting in singular, and you see that in English the verb is always the same. Do, give, don't give. So in English you don't differentiate between an informal or a formal setting and a singular and a plural. Now, what about German? First, let's take a step back. You already know these forms in the present tense. Du gehst, you go. So you have the stem G and the ending ST for the second person singular. You know ihr geht, y'all go. That's the second person plural, and you have the verb form geht. And you know the form Sie gehen, which is the formal version of saying you go for either singular or plural. Now, for the imperative, we take these three forms from the present tense, and in order to build the do and the ihr form of the imperative, we take out the pronoun and we cut off the SC ending in the do imperative. You get geh, go, for the singular informal version, and you get geht, go, for the plural informal version. Now for the formal imperative, you switch the pronoun with the verb and you get the imperative gehen Sie for both singular and plural. Let's look at some examples. So in the first line in red and blue, you see our example of to go. And you see the do imperative, where the red is the form of the imperative, and in blue you see the previous present tense. Now, let's look at some regular verbs. We have sagen. In the do imperative, it is sag. In the ihr imperative, it is sagt, if you give the command to more than one person in an informal setting. In the formal setting, it is sagen Sie. Now for machen, it is mach, macht, and machen Sie. For spielen, it's the same pattern. Spiel, spielt, and spielen Sie. Now with reden, keep in mind that we use at first the do form of the present tense, which is du redest. You cut out the pronoun and the ST ending, and you have rede. For the ihr imperative, it's redet. And in the formal setting, reden Sie. Now the imperative has two extra rules. So if the verb stem ends in S, so s, or x, so any of those sounds, then you cut off the ending of the T only, because you never added an ST to begin with. So the regular present tense form du liest in the imperative becomes lies. Du isst is is. Du beißt becomes beiß. Du faxst is fax. And du kotzt becomes kotz. So I added exclamation marks at the end of the imperatives to emphasize the fact that we're talking about commands. So you say read, eat, bite, and so on. The plural, so the ihr form and the formal forms are always regular. You have lest and lesen Sie, esst and essen Sie, beißt and beißen Sie, faxt and faxen Sie, and kotzt and kotzen Sie. The second extra rule concerns vowel-changing verbs. So remember, in the present tense you have some verbs that change the vowel in the second and third person singular. For example, ich fahre, but du fährst. So here you have a vowel change. Now importantly, in the imperative, those vowel changes don't take over. So du fährst in the imperative is fahr. Du läufst in the imperative is lauf. du hältst becomes halt, and du schläfst becomes schlaf. Now the plural is still regular, like in our previous slide, but the plural never had a vowel change anyways. So it is fahrt and fahren Sie, lauft and laufen Sie, haltet and halten Sie, and schlaft and schlafen Sie. That is the imperative.